The scent of butter and vanilla fills my lungs as I pull the last tray of croissants from the oven. Steam rises in soft clouds, fogging my glasses for the third time this morning. I set the tray down with more force than necessary, the metal clanging against the stainless steel counter. My lower back aches, a dull, persistent throb that's become as familiar as my own heartbeat. 4:30 in the morning. The same time I've been waking up for the past 3 years, ever since I scraped together enough money to lease this tiny bakery in Brooklyn. Sweet Haven, the faded sign outside reads, though the H flickers when it rains, turning it into Sweet Aven more often than not. I wipe flour from my cheek with the back of my hand and glance at the ancient cash register that's held together with duct tape and prayers. The rent is due in 5 days. I'm short. Again. Not by much, just $300, but it might as well be $3,000 for all the good my current bank account will do me. You're doing it again, I mutter to myself, the words barely audible over the hum of the industrial refrigerator. Counting money you don't have. I've gotten used to talking to myself. When you work alone, open to close, 7 days a week, you either become comfortable with your own voice or you go quietly insane. I've chosen the former, though some days the line feels blurry. The front bell chimes at exactly 5:15. Mrs. Chun right on schedule. She's been my first customer every weekday for 2 years, always ordering the same thing. 1 plain bagel, toasted with cream cheese, and a small coffee, light and sweet. "Morning, Elena," she calls out in her thick accent, her weathered face breaking into a smile that makes her eyes nearly disappear into happy crescents. "Morning, Mrs. Chun." I return her smile with genuine warmth. She's one of the good ones, the customers who see me as a person, not just a service. The usual. You know me too well. If you're enjoying the story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. As I prepare her order, my hands moving through the familiar motions with muscle memory precision, I catch my reflection in the chrome of the espresso machine. Dark circles shadow my eyes, despite the concealer I'd hastily applied at 4 in the morning. My black hair, which I'd inherited from my mother along with her olive skin and stubborn streak, is pulled back in a braid that's already coming loose. At 27, I sometimes feel 50. But I'm alive. I'm free. And I own something, even if it's just a struggling bakery in a neighborhood that's slowly being gentrified out from under people like me. "You look tired, dear," Mrs. Chin observes as I hand her the bag and coffee. She presses a $5 bill into my hand for a $4.50 order. "Keep the change. And maybe close early today. Rest." I laugh, but it sounds hollow even to my own ears. "Can't afford to, Mrs. Chun. But thank you." She pats my hand, her skin papery and warm, then shuffles out into the gray pre-dawn light of a February morning in New York. The cold rushes in before the door swings shut, and I shiver despite the warmth from the ovens. The morning rush, if you can call the trickle of customers that, passes in a blur of coffee orders, breakfast sandwiches, and the occasional pastry. By 8 o'clock, I've made enough to cover today's supplies, maybe. The afternoon will determine whether I eat more than ramen this week. I'm restocking the display case, arranging the few remaining croissants to look more abundant than they are when the bell chimes again. I don't look up immediately, too focused on making 6 pastries look like 12. "I'll be right with you," I call out, adjusting a chocolate croissant for the 3rd time. "Take your time." The voice stops me cold. It's deep, smooth, with an edge of command that makes it clear the speaker isn't used to waiting, even if he's saying the polite words. There's something else too, an accent, faint but there, that speaks of money, education, and a world far removed from my flour-dusted existence. I straighten and turn, and my breath catches in my throat. He's tall, easily over 6 feet, with broad shoulders that fill out a charcoal suit that probably costs more than 3 months of my rent. Dark hair, perfectly styled in that effortlessly expensive way, frames a face that could have been carved from marble. Sharp jawline, high cheekbones, and eyes so dark they're almost black, currently fixed on me with an intensity that makes my skin prickle with awareness. But it's not just his appearance that freezes me in place. It's the presence he carries, the way he seems to own the space around him, the air itself bending to accommodate him. 2 men in equally expensive suits flank him, standing just inside the door, their eyes constantly scanning the street outside, the bakery, me. Security. Or bodyguards. Either way, not normal. What can I get you? I manage, my voice steadier than I feel. I've learned to hide fear, to swallow discomfort and smile through it. Survival skill number 1 when you're a woman alone in the world. His eyes sweep over the display case with barely concealed disinterest, then return to my face. Coffee. Black. And whatever you recommend. No smile. No warmth. Just efficiency and expectation. The almond croissants are fresh, I offer, already reaching for the tongs. Made them an hour ago. Fine. I move through the motions mechanically, hyper-aware of his gaze following my every movement. My hand shakes slightly as I pour the coffee, and I hate myself for it. I've dealt with difficult customers before, with men who've tried to intimidate me, with collection agents who've threatened to shut me down. But something about this man is different. Dangerous, maybe. Or just so far removed from my reality that my instincts are screaming warnings I don't understand. I bag the croissant and slide it across the counter with the coffee. That'll be $8.50. He pulls out a wallet. Leather, probably Italian, definitely expensive, and hands me $100 bill without even looking at it. I'll need to check if I have change for that, I say, already dreading the conversation. My register has maybe $40 in it total. Keep it. I blink. That's a $90 tip for an $8 order. I'm aware of basic mathematics. The corner of his mouth twitches. Not quite a smile, but close. Consider it an investment in keeping good bakeries in business. Pride wars with desperation in my chest. Pride loses. It always does when rent is due. Thank you. I appreciate it. He nods, then gestures to the paper cup in front of him. Your name. It takes me a moment to understand. He wants me to write his name on the cup, like the corporate coffee chains do. We're not that fancy here. I know most of my customers by sight, but if that's what he wants, fine. Of course. What name should I put? Dante. My hand moves automatically, reaching for the Sharpie I keep by the register. I uncap it, press the tip to the white surface of the cup, and begin to write. The moment the marker touches paper, something happens in my brain. A disconnect. A skip in reality. I don't write Dante. My hand moves of its own accord, muscle memory from somewhere deep and buried, and forms letters I don't consciously choose. Alessandro. I don't realize what I've done until I've already set the marker down, until I'm already sliding the cup across the counter toward him, until I see his hand freeze midway to taking it. His entire body goes rigid. The air in the bakery changes, becomes charged with something electric and dangerous. Those dark eyes snap from the cup to my face with such intensity that I take an instinctive step backward. What did you say? His voice is low, deadly quiet. I didn't say anything. You said your name was Dante, so I look down at the cup and my words die in my throat. Alessandro. Written in my own handwriting, clear as day. My heart begins to pound. I'm sorry, I don't know why let me make you a new one. I must have been thinking of another order, or... How do you know that name? He leans forward, his hands flat on the counter, and I can see the tension in every line of his body. How do you know my birth name? Birth name. The words echo in my skull like a death knell. I don't, I stammer, genuine confusion mixing with rising panic. I don't know what you're talking about. You said Dante. I meant to write Dante. I don't know why I wrote. Look at me. It's a command, not a request. I force myself to meet his eyes, even though every instinct screams at me to run, to hide, to disappear. He studies my face with an intensity that feels invasive, like he's peeling back layers of skin to see what's underneath. His eyes move across my features slowly. My eyes, my nose, my cheekbones, the shape of my jaw. I see the exact moment something clicks in his mind. His expression shifts from anger to shock to something else entirely. Something that looks almost like pain. Dio mio, he breathes, and the Italian slips out unconsciously, rough with emotion. Elena Rossi. My blood turns to ice in my veins. That name I haven't heard spoken aloud in 15 years. That name I buried along with everything else from my childhood. I don't know what you're talking about. But my voice shakes, betraying the lie. You're Marco's daughter. It's not a question. He says it with certainty, with recognition, with a weight that makes my knees weak. You're Elena Rossi. You were 7 years old the last time I saw you. No. No, no, no. This can't be happening. I changed my name. I moved across the country. I built a new life. A safe life. A normal life. The past was supposed to stay buried. I think you have me confused with someone else. I'm backing away from the counter now, my hands reaching behind me for anything that might serve as a weapon if I need it. I'm Elena Martinez. I've lived in Brooklyn my whole life. I don't know any Marco, I don't know. Stop. His voice cuts through my panic like a blade. Stop lying. I can see it in your eyes. You know exactly who I am, even if you're trying to pretend you don't. And God help me, the moment he says it, I do. The memories come flooding back with brutal clarity, triggered by his words, by the name Alessandro written in my own handwriting, by the way he's looking at me like he's seen a ghost. I'm 7 years old, and my father is lifting me onto his shoulders. We're walking through a garden, a massive estate with marble fountains and rose bushes taller than I am. There's a boy, maybe 12 or 13, with dark hair and darker eyes, who lets me chase him through the hedges, even though I'm sure he's annoyed by the little girl his father's bodyguard brought to the house. Catch me if you can! Piccola Elena! He calls out, and I shriek with laughter as I try to keep up with his longer legs. Alessandro! Don't run too far. An adult voice, concerned but fond. Alessandro! That was his name. Before he became Dante. Before he inherited his father's empire. Before my father died protecting his father, taking 3 bullets meant for the man who ran one of the most powerful crime families in New York. I sway on my feet, gripping the counter for support as the past and present collide with devastating force. You remember. He's watching my face, tracking every micro-expression, and I can see that he knows. He knows the exact moment the recognition hits. I thought you were dead. After your father, after the funeral, you and your mother disappeared. Everyone said you'd gone into hiding, that you'd left the country. We did. The words come out before I can stop them, truth spilling from my lips unbidden. My mother changed our names. We moved to California. She wanted me far away from all of it, from your world. And yet here you are. His eyes sweep the small bakery, taking in the worn counters, the ancient equipment, the faded walls. Working in a bakery in Brooklyn. Using your mother's maiden name. Pretending to be someone you're not. I'm not pretending. My voice gains strength, anger replacing fear. This is who I am. Elena Martinez is who I chose to be. The other girl, the one who grew up on the edges of your world, she died with her father 15 years ago. Something flashes across his face, regret, maybe or grief. Your father was a hero. He saved my father's life. Saved mine too, probably. If those bullets had hit their target. I know what my father was. I cut him off sharply. I know what he did, and I know what it cost him. Cost us. My mother spent every day after his death looking over her shoulder, terrified that someone would come for me for us. She worked 3 jobs to keep us hidden, to keep us safe. She died 5 years ago from stress and exhaustion, and a heart that never recovered from losing the man she loved. Tears burn my eyes, but I refuse to let them fall. So forgive me if I don't want to reminisce about the good old days in your father's garden. The silence that follows is deafening. One of the bodyguards shifts uncomfortably by the door. The other hasn't taken his eyes off the street, but I can see the tension in his shoulders, the readiness to act if his boss gives the signal. Dante Alessandro, whoever he is now, straightens slowly. The intensity in his eyes hasn't diminished, but something else has crept in. Calculation. Decision. You can't stay here, he says finally. Not anymore. Not now that I've found you. I'm not going anywhere with you. My chin lifts stubbornly. I have a business. A life. You can't just. Do you know what your father's sacrifice meant to my family? He interrupts quietly. Do you understand the debt we've carried for 15 years? Finding you alive, he shakes his head. I won't let you stay in this place, struggling, unprotected, when you should have been taken care of all along. I don't need your charity. But even as I say it, I'm aware of the unpaid rent notice shoved in my bag, the dwindling supplies in my kitchen, the exhaustion that's become my constant companion. It's not charity. It's obligation. Honor. He picks up the coffee cup, looking at his birth name, written in my handwriting with an expression I can't read. Your mother hid you from us. From protection. From the resources that should have been yours. She must have had her reasons, but she's gone now. And whether you like it or not, Elena Rossi, you're my responsibility. Stop calling me that. My voice cracks despite my best efforts. That's not my name anymore. Isn't it? His eyes bore into mine. You can change your name on paper, but you can't change who you are. What you are. Your father's blood runs in your veins. His loyalty. His courage. And whether you want to admit it or not, you're part of my world. You always have been. I want nothing to do with your world. But my voice lacks conviction because somewhere deep down, in a place I've tried to ignore for 15 years, part of me recognizes the truth in his words. Part of me has always known that you can't truly escape what you're born into, only delay the inevitable. He pulls out his phone, his movements controlled and precise. I'm going to make some calls. Within the hour, someone will arrive to secure this location. You'll be under protection while I make arrangements. Arrangements for what? Panic rises in my chest again. For your safety. For repayment of a debt my family owes yours. He looks up from his phone, and for the first time, I see something almost gentle in his expression. I failed you once, Piccola Elena. I failed your father by not being strong enough to protect my own family, by forcing him to take those bullets meant for us. I won't fail you again. The childhood nickname, spoken in his deep voice, nearly undoes me. I grip the counter harder, fighting the tears that threaten to spill over. You were just a boy, I hear myself say. You couldn't have stopped what happened. No, but I'm not a boy anymore. His jaw sets with determination. And I can stop what happens next. What happens next? I echo, not sure I want the answer. Your father had enemies. My family has enemies. If I've found you, others can too. And there are people who would use you to hurt me, to hurt my family, to settle old scores. You're not safe here anymore, Elena. You haven't been safe since the moment you wrote that name on the cup. The truth of his words settles over me like a shroud. By writing his birth name, a name I didn't even consciously remember knowing, I've exposed myself, revealed the connection, put a target on my back that I'd spent 15 years successfully avoiding. I hate you, I whisper, but there's no real heat in it. Just exhaustion and resignation and the crushing weight of a past I can never truly escape. I know. He tucks his phone away and picks up the coffee and croissant. But you'll let me protect you anyway. Because deep down you know I'm right. And because your father died protecting mine. The least I can do is make sure his sacrifice wasn't in vain by keeping his daughter alive. He heads for the door, his bodyguards falling into step behind him. At the threshold, he pauses and looks back at me one last time. Someone will be here within the hour. Don't try to run. You won't make it 3 blocks. It's not a threat, just a statement of fact, delivered with the absolute certainty of a man who's used to being obeyed. And Elena, pack what matters. Everything else will be replaced. Then he's gone, the bell chiming cheerfully as the door closes behind him, leaving me alone in my small bakery with the ruins of my carefully constructed life crumbling around me. I look down at my trembling hands, still dusted with flour, and wonder how a single name, a name I didn't even mean to write, could destroy everything I've built. The answer, when it comes, is simple and terrible, because some things are written in blood and bone and muscle memory, too deep to ever be fully erased. I don't pack. For 30 minutes after Dante leaves, I stand frozen behind the counter, staring at the door as if willing myself to wake up from this nightmare. My phone buzzes twice, once with a text from my supplier about a past due invoice, once with a reminder that rent is due. Normal problems. Problems I understand how to face, even if I can't solve them. But men with bodyguards who remember my dead father? Men who look at me like I'm a ghost from their past? Men who command rather than ask, who speak of debts and obligations and protection as if I have no say in my own life. Those aren't normal problems. I'm measuring flour for tomorrow's bread, muscle memory, routine, something to keep my hands busy, when the bell chimes again. My heart lurches into my throat, but it's not Dante. It's a woman, mid-40s, with steel-gray hair pulled into a severe bun and sharp eyes that catalog everything about me in 3 seconds flat. Elena Martinez. She doesn't wait for confirmation. I'm Sofia Ferraro. Mr. Moretti sent me to secure the premises. Moretti. So that's his last name now. Dante Moretti. I turned the name over in my mind, trying to reconcile it with the boy I knew as Alessandro Gallo back when his father still used the old family name, before the rebranding, before the legitimization of assets that were anything but legitimate. I didn't agree to any of this, I say, but it sounds weak even to my ears. Sophia's expression softens fractionally. I know. It's a lot to process. But Mr. Moretti was very clear about his instructions. You're to be kept safe until he can make proper arrangements. She glances around the bakery with a professional eye. Do you live upstairs? I nod reluctantly. The apartment above the bakery is tiny, 1 bedroom, a bathroom the size of a closet, a kitchen that barely fits a person in a hot plate. But it's mine. Or it was. I'll need to sweep it, check for vulnerabilities. She's already moving toward the back door that leads to the stairs. 2 of my team will be posted outside. 1 front, 1 back. You won't see them, but they'll be there. For how long? She pauses at the door. Until Mr. Moretti says otherwise. I want to argue. Want to throw them all out, lock the doors, and pretend this morning never happened. But Dante's words echo in my mind. Your father had enemies. My family has enemies. If I've found you, others can too. 15 years of hiding, of safety, of anonymity, shattered because I wrote a name I shouldn't have known. The bread dough sits forgotten on the counter as I follow Sophia upstairs. She moves through my small apartment with efficient precision, checking windows, testing locks, examining sight lines. I watch her work, feeling violated and protected in equal measure. You'll want to pack, she says as she inspects the fire escape outside my bedroom window. Mr. Moretti's preparing accommodations for you. What if I refuse? Sophia turns to look at me, and there's something almost sympathetic in her eyes. Then he'll have you moved anyway, just less comfortably. Men like Dante Moretti don't give you choices, Miss Martinez. They give you the illusion of choice while ensuring the outcome they want. She crosses her arms. But for what it's worth, I've worked for him for 5 years. He's ruthless, yes. Controlling, absolutely. But when he says he'll protect someone, he means it. There are worse fates than being under his protection. And what's he protecting me from, exactly? The same things your mother was protecting you from when she changed your name and ran. Sophia's voice drops lower. The Calabrese family hasn't forgotten that Marco Rossi's testimony helped put 3 of their captains in prison before he died. The Russians who've been trying to move into Moretti territory would love to use you as leverage. And then there are the prosecutors, who'd be very interested to know that a key witness's daughter is alive, and well, and might remember things she shouldn't. Each word is a hammer blow. I sink onto my bed, the springs creaking under my weight. My mother told me my father was a security consultant. I hear myself say. That he died in a robbery gone wrong. She never told me the truth. She was protecting you. Sophia moves to sit beside me, her posture rigid but her tone gentle. Sometimes love means lying, means letting your child believe in a simpler, kinder world than the one that actually exists. Tears burn my eyes. I want to hate him for this, for ruining everything. Dante! Yes! I swipe at my eyes angrily. I had a life. It wasn't much, but it was mine. It was safe. And he walked in here and destroyed it all. He didn't destroy it, Sophia says quietly. He uncovered what was already there. The danger, the past. Those things don't disappear just because you ignore them. She stands, smoothing her jacket. Pack what matters. You have an hour. After she leaves, I sit in the silence of my small apartment and try to figure out what matters. The photo albums my mother kept, documenting a childhood I only half remember. My grandmother's recipe book, pages stained and worn from use. The few pieces of jewelry my mother left me when she died. Nothing expensive, just things that mattered to her. I'm folding clothes into a duffel bag when my phone rings. Unknown number. Hello. Elena. Dante's voice unmistakable. Sophia tells me you're cooperating. Thank you. What choice did you give me? Bitterness seeps into my tone. A pause. None. I won't apologize for that. I didn't expect you to. I zip the duffel with more force than necessary. Where am I going? My home. In Manhattan. It's secure, comfortable. You'll have your own suite, privacy when you want it. And when I don't want privacy, Then you'll have company. Something in his voice shifts, becomes almost warm. I meant what I said, Elena. Your father's sacrifice means something to me. To my family. You should have been taken care of 15 years ago. I'm rectifying that now. By holding me prisoner. By keeping you alive. His tone hardens. I have sources checking into possible threats as we speak. If your mother was as careful as you say, maybe no one's connected Elena Martinez to Elena Rossi. Maybe you're safe. But maybe isn't good enough. Not for Marco Rossi's daughter. The use of my father's name, spoken with respect and grief, does something to my resolve. Cracks it, just a little. How did you know? I asked quietly. How did you recognize me? I was 7. I'm 27 now. I look nothing like I did then. You have your father's eyes, he says immediately. The exact shade of amber. And when you looked at me with recognition, with fear, I saw little Elena who used to follow me around the garden, demanding I teach her to climb trees. A laugh escapes me, half sob, half genuine amusement. You told me girls couldn't climb trees. I proved you wrong by getting stuck 15 feet up. And I got in trouble for not watching you more carefully. There's something almost like a smile in his voice. You were fearless then. I hope you still are. I'm terrified, I admit. Of you. Of this. Of everything that's happening. Good. His response surprises me. Fear keeps you alert. Keeps you alive. Use it. A car horn sounds outside, long and loud. Sophia appears in my doorway, phone to her ear. The car's here, she says. I have to go, I tell Dante. I'll see you soon, Piccola Elena. He hangs up before I can tell him not to call me that. If you're hooked on the story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. The drive to Manhattan takes 40 minutes in afternoon traffic. I sit in the back of a black SUV with tinted windows, Sophia beside me, watching Brooklyn fade away through the glass. Each mile feels like another life being stripped away, another layer of safety dissolving. We cross into Manhattan, and the buildings grow taller, the streets cleaner, the people better dressed. Old money neighborhoods, where my bakery earnings wouldn't cover a week's coffee budget. The SUV turns onto a tree-lined street of historic brownstones and pulls into an underground garage beneath a building that takes up an entire block. This is it, I ask stupidly. This entire building? Sophia nods. Mr. Moretti owns the top 3 floors. His father's family has held this property for 60 years. The elevator rises smoothly, silently, with none of the rattling I'm used to. When the doors open, I step into a world so far removed from mine that I might as well have traveled to another planet. The foyer alone is larger than my entire apartment. Marble floors reflect light from a crystal chandelier that probably costs more than my bakery's yearly revenue. Art that looks museum-worthy hangs on cream-colored walls. Fresh flowers in a vase on a central table perfume the air with roses and something else. Jasmine, maybe. Miss Martinez, a woman in her 60s, dressed impeccably in black, appears from somewhere to my right. I'm Teresa, the house manager. Mr. Moretti asked me to show you to your suite. I follow her in a daze, too overwhelmed to form coherent thoughts. We pass a living room that could host 50 people comfortably, a dining room with a table that seats 20, a library with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, and what appears to be a home gym visible through an open door. This floor is primarily public spaces, Teresa explains as we climb a curved staircase. Mr. Moretti's private quarters are on the top floor. Yours are here on the second. She opens a door to reveal a suite that makes me physically stop and stare. A bedroom with a 4-poster bed dressed in linens that look like they're made of clouds. A sitting area with a fireplace and plush furniture. Windows overlooking Central Park. An ensuite bathroom with a soaking tub, a separate shower, and marble everywhere. This can't be for me, I whisper. Mr. Moretti was very specific. Teresa sets my duffel bag on a bench at the foot of the bed. It looks ridiculous there, cheap and worn against such luxury. He said you're to have the best. That your family. Family. The word lodges in my throat like a stone. I don't see Dante for 2 days. Teresa brings me meals on covered silver trays, food I recognize as expensive even though I can barely taste it. Sophia checks in twice daily, updating me on the situation, in vague terms that tell me nothing. I spend most of my time staring out the windows at the park, at the people below living normal lives, at a world I'm no longer part of. On the third morning, I wake to find a note slipped under my door. Join me for breakfast. The terrace. 8 a.m. D. The terrace turns out to be a rooftop garden, lush and green despite the February cold, with heat lamps creating a warm microclimate. Dante sits at a small table, dressed more casually than I've seen him, dark jeans, a charcoal sweater that emphasizes his broad shoulders. He's reading something on a tablet, a cup of espresso cooling at his elbow. He looks up as I approach, and something flickers across his face. Surprise, maybe, or appreciation. Teresa had left clothes in my room, expensive, perfectly sized, completely not my style. I'd defiantly worn my own jeans and t-shirt, a small rebellion. But now, seeing him in casual clothes, I wonder if he'd planned this. Wanted me to feel comfortable rather than dressed up like a doll. Elena! He stands, pulling out a chair for me. Thank you for coming. Did I have a choice? A slight smile. No, but I appreciate the illusion of courtesy. Despite myself, I almost laugh. There's something disarming about his honesty, his refusal to pretend this is anything other than what it is. Breakfast appears as if by magic, warm croissants that make my baker's heart sing. Fresh fruit, more espresso. I eat because my body demands it, barely tasting anything. You hate me, Dante observes after several minutes of silence. I don't know you well enough to hate you. But you want to. I set down my coffee cup carefully. You've upended my entire life. Taken away my home, my business, my independence. What am I supposed to feel? Gratitude. Your business is being managed, he says calmly. I've hired someone to run it in your absence. The rent is paid through the end of the year. Your suppliers have been compensated for past due invoices. I stare at him. You what? Did you think I'd let it fail? You've put 3 years of your life into that bakery. He leans back in his chair, studying me. I'm not trying to take away what you've built, Elena. I'm trying to protect it. And you. Why? The question bursts out of me, raw and desperate. Why do you care so much? My father died 15 years ago. Whatever debt you think you owe is unpayable, he interrupts. That's the point. Marco Rossi took bullets meant for my father. Meant for me. I was 14 years old, Elena. I watched your father die on the marble floor of our dining room while trying to reach my father's body, not knowing if he was alive or dead. His voice remains steady, but his eyes betray the depth of emotion beneath. Your father's last words were, protect the boy. Not his own daughter. Not his wife. He asked my father to protect me. A 14-year-old boy he barely knew. Tears blur my vision. I've never heard the story. Never knew the details of how my father died. After the funeral, my father tried to find you and your mother, Dante continues. Tried to offer protection, support, resources. But your mother disappeared. She was smart, thorough. She didn't want our world touching you. He leans forward. I respect that. But she's gone now, and the protection she worked so hard to build around you is crumbling. Someone would have found you eventually. Better it be me than someone with less honorable intentions. And your intentions are honorable. I wipe my eyes angrily. Keeping me here like a prisoner? A protected guest, he corrects. And yes, my intentions are honorable. Though I'll admit they're complicated. Something in his tone makes me look up sharply. He's watching me with an expression I can't quite read. Intensity, yes, but something else. Something that makes my heart skip unexpectedly. Complicated how? He stands, moving to the terrace railing, his back to me. When I saw you in that bakery, covered in flour, dark circles under your eyes from exhaustion, fighting so hard to keep your small business alive, he breaks off, running a hand through his hair in a gesture that seems almost vulnerable. You reminded me of your father. His determination. His refusal to quit even when the odds were impossible. I'm nothing like him, I say quietly. I'm not brave. I'm not a hero. I'm just trying to survive. That's exactly what he was doing. Dante turns back to me. Surviving. Protecting what mattered. He wasn't born into our world, Elena. He chose it. Chose my father's service because it paid well enough to give you and your mother a good life. And when the moment came, he made the choice that cost him everything but saved us. I stand, unable to sit still any longer. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know who your father really was. Not the sanitized version your mother gave you, and not the villain version you might be imagining. He moves closer, close enough that I can smell his cologne, cedar and something darker. He was a good man in a bad world, doing the best he could with impossible choices. Just like you. I haven't made any impossible choices. Haven't you? His eyes bore into mine. You left everything familiar to run across the country and hide. You worked yourself to exhaustion building something from nothing. You choose every day to keep fighting when it would be so much easier to give up. His voice drops lower. You're stronger than you think, Piccola Elena. The nickname, the proximity, the intensity in his eyes, it's all too much. I take a step back, needing space, needing air that doesn't smell like him. Don't, I whisper. Don't try to make this into something it's not. You feel guilty about my father. You feel obligated. That's all this is. Is it? He doesn't move closer, but his presence fills the space between us anyway. Tell me something, Elena. When you wrote my birth name on that cup, a name you couldn't have consciously remembered, what were you thinking? I wasn't thinking. That's the point. It just happened. Exactly. Something almost like satisfaction crosses his face. Your body remembered what your mind had forgotten. Muscle memory. The same way you remember recipes, the same way your hands know how to knead dough without conscious thought. You remembered me, Elena. Even after 15 years. My heart pounds against my ribs. That doesn't mean anything. Doesn't it? He finally closes the distance between us, and I'm trapped against the terrace railing, caught between cold iron and warm man. I've thought about you over the years. Wondered what happened to the little girl with amber eyes who made me feel like a hero just for letting her follow me around. Wondered if you remembered. If some part of you knew that someone out there hadn't forgotten you. Stop. My voice cracks. You don't get to do this. To make me feel things I shouldn't feel. What? His hand comes up to cup my face, gentle despite the calluses I can feel against my skin. What am I, Elena? Dangerous, I breathe. You're dangerous. Yes, he agrees softly. I am. But not to you. Never to you. The sound of breaking glass shatters the moment. Dante moves so fast I barely see it, pushing me down behind the terrace railing, his body covering mine protectively. Shouts erupt from inside the penthouse. Multiple voices, running footsteps, the unmistakable sound of gunfire. Stay down, Dante commands, his voice completely changed. No warmth now, just cold authority. He pulls a gun from somewhere, the small of his back, maybe, and moves toward the terrace door in a crouch. I huddle against the railing, my heart hammering so hard I think it might break through my chest. This isn't real. This can't be real. But the sounds are real. The blood roaring in my ears is real. The taste of copper fear on my tongue is real. Sophia appears in the doorway, weapon drawn, speaking rapidly. 3 shooters. Ground floor. They came in with a delivery. Marco has 2 contained. The 3rd is mobile. Elena's location? Dante asks, not taking his eyes off the interior. Secured on terrace. 2 guards positioned. She cuts off as more gunfire echoes from somewhere below. Boss, we need to move her. Agreed. Route. Service elevator to garage. Car standing by. Dante turns back to me, his face a mask of controlled fury. Elena, listen carefully. You're going to stay low. Follow Sophia exactly. Don't stop. Don't look around. Don't hesitate. Understand. I nod, unable to form words. He reaches down, pulls me to my feet. For just a second, his hand tightens on mine. I will keep you safe. I promise. Then I'm moving. Sophia's hand on my elbow, being rushed through the penthouse. I catch glimpses. Overturned furniture, bullet holes in walls, a man in black lying motionless on the marble floor. My mind can't process it, can't make it real. We reach a small elevator I haven't seen before, hidden behind a panel in the kitchen. Sophia pushes me inside, follows and hits a button. The doors close, just as more gunfire erupts from the direction we came. Dante, I gasp. Can handle himself, Sophia says grimly, checking her weapon. He's been doing this since he was 16. You're the priority right now. The elevator descends what feels like forever. When the doors open, we're in an underground garage. A black SUV idles nearby, driver already behind the wheel, another guard holding open the rear door. "Get in," Sophia orders, and I don't argue. The SUV peels out before my door is fully closed. I'm thrown against the seat, scrabbling for a seatbelt as we rocket up the garage ramp and onto the street. "What's happening?" I demand, my voice shrill with panic. "Who were those people?" "Calabrese family," Sophia says, her attention on her phone, which is lighting up with messages. "They found you faster than we expected." The name means nothing to me, but the implication is clear. These are the people Dante warned me about, the people who want to use me to hurt him, to hurt his family, because of my father, because of a debt 15 years old. "Where are we going?" I ask as the SUV weaves through traffic with terrifying speed. "Safe house. Outside the city." Sophia finally looks at me, and I see concern in her eyes. "You'll be okay. Dante's best people are with you." "What about him?" "He's cleaning up." Her phone buzzes again. She reads the message, and her jaw tightens. 1 shooter dead, 2 in custody. They're interrogating them now. I close my eyes, trying to block out the images burned into my brain. The bullet holes, the blood, the casual violence of a world I thought I'd escaped. "My mother was right," I whisper. "She was right to hide me, to lie to me, to keep me away from all of this." "Maybe," Sophia allows, "but you can't hide forever, Elena. Your father's sacrifice made you part of this world, whether you wanted to be or not. The debt your family is owed, the enemies they made, those things don't expire. They don't fade. They wait." The SUV turns onto a highway, heading north out of the city. I watch Manhattan shrink behind us, taking with it the last remnants of my normal life. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. "You're safe. Stay with Sophia. I'll come for you when it's clear. D." I stare at the message, my thumb hovering over the screen. 1,000 responses occur to me. Anger, fear, accusations. But what comes out is something else entirely. "Thank you for protecting me." His response comes immediately. "Always. You're mine to protect now. Accept it." 3 words that should terrify me. That should make me want to run, to fight, to reject everything he represents. But instead, as the city fades behind us and I'm carried toward an unknown safe house by people I barely know, following orders from a man I've known less than a week, instead of fear, what I feel is something far more dangerous. Relief. Because for the first time in 15 years, since my mother dragged me away from everything I knew, since I've been running and hiding and pretending to be someone I'm not, for the first time, I'm not alone. And that terrifies me more than any bullet. The safe house is a colonial farmhouse 2 hours north of the city, surrounded by woods and silence. No neighbors for miles. No witnesses. The kind of place where anything could happen and no one would ever know. I spend 3 days there in a state of suspended animation. Sophia stays with me, along with 2 guards whose names I never learn. They rotate shifts, patrol the perimeter, speak in low voices into phones and earpieces. I occupy myself with cooking. The kitchen is well stocked, and my hands need something to do or I'll go insane. Dante calls twice daily. Brief conversations, his voice carefully neutral, asking if I need anything, if I'm comfortable, if I'm safe. I answer in monosyllables because I don't trust myself to say more. Don't trust myself not to beg him to come get me, or to scream at him for dragging me into this nightmare, or to admit that I dream about the moment on the terrace when his hand touched my face. On the 4th morning, I wake to the sound of a car engine. I rush to the window to see a familiar black SUV pulling up the gravel drive. My heart lurches. Dante emerges, dressed in dark jeans and a leather jacket, looking tired but unharmed. He speaks briefly with the guards, then heads for the house. I'm still in my pajamas, borrowed clothes from a closet full of things that aren't mine, when he walks through the door. "Elena!" He stops when he sees me, his eyes sweeping over me as if checking for injuries, for any sign that I'm not okay. "You came." It's a stupid thing to say, but I can't think of anything else. "Did you think I wouldn't?" He closes the distance between us, his hands reaching out as if to touch me, then stopping midair, uncertain. "I told you I'd come when it was clear." "And is it clear?" His jaw tightens. "For now." The Calabrese family has been dealt with. Their leadership knows that touching you means war with me. A war they can't win. The casual way he says it, dealt with, sends a chill down my spine. I don't ask what it means. Don't want to know how many people died or suffered because I wrote a name on a coffee cup. So I can go home now. I say it like a statement, but it comes out like a question. Something flickers across his face. Pain maybe. Or disappointment. If that's what you want. What I want. The words explode out of me, weeks of fear and confusion and anger finally breaking free. What I want is to go back to 4 days ago. I want to be ignorant and safe and alone in my bakery. I want to not know that people are trying to kill me because of something my father did before I was old enough to remember. My voice cracks. I want my mother. I want her to tell me what to do because I have no idea anymore. Dante doesn't move closer, doesn't try to comfort me. He just stands there, absorbing my rage, letting me feel it. Your mother would tell you to run, he says quietly when I've run out of words. To disappear again. Change your name again. Maybe go to Europe this time. Somewhere I'd never think to look. She'd tell you that my world is poison, that it destroys everything it touches. And would she be wrong? No. The single word, delivered with complete honesty, hurts more than any lie could. She wouldn't be wrong. My world is poison. It has destroyed good people, ruined lives, left bodies in its wake. Your father's being one of them. I sink onto the couch, my legs suddenly unable to hold me. Then why? Why do you want me in it? He moves then, finally, kneeling in front of me, so we're at eye level. Because despite all the darkness, despite everything that's wrong with my world, you make it better. You remind me that there are things worth protecting beyond money and power and territory. His hand comes up to cup my face, his thumb brushing away a tear I didn't know had fallen. You remind me of who I was before I became this. Before I became Dante Moretti, head of the family, the man everyone fears. You remember Alessandro, the boy who let a little girl follow him around because her smile made him feel like a hero. That boy doesn't exist anymore, I whisper. Doesn't he? His eyes search mine. When I'm with you, I feel like he does. Like maybe there's more to me than what I've become. Like maybe I can be both, the man who does what needs to be done to protect his family, and the man who deserves someone like you. You don't deserve me, I say, but there's no heat in it. I'm nobody. A baker. A woman with nothing. You're Marco Rossi's daughter. His voice intensifies. You're the girl who rebuilt her life from nothing after losing everything. You're the woman who worked herself to exhaustion rather than give up on her dream. He breaks off, seeming to struggle with something. You're the only person in 15 years who's made me want something beyond duty and obligation. My breath catches. Dante, I'm not asking you to love me, he continues, his words rushing out now as if he needs to say them before he loses his courage. I'm not even asking you to stay. I know what I am, what I represent, but I'm asking you to consider it. Consider that maybe your father died protecting my family for a reason. Maybe he saw something in us worth dying for. And maybe you can see it too. I look into his eyes, dark and desperate, and so painfully vulnerable that it breaks something in me. This man who commands empires, who has people killed with a word, who radiates danger and power, he's kneeling before me like a supplicant, asking for something he's clearly never asked for before. Hope! Before I can answer, before I can even process what I want to say, Sophia bursts through the door. Boss, we have a problem. Her face is pale. Someone leaked Elena's location. We have incoming, multiple vehicles, heavily armed. ETA 5 minutes. Dante's entire demeanor changes in an instant. The vulnerable man disappears, replaced by the cold, calculating leader. He's on his feet, gun appearing in his hand as if by magic. How many? He asks, already moving toward the window. At least a dozen. Maybe more. Sophia's weapon is drawn. This isn't Calabrese. The cars are registered to shell companies with Russian connections. Russian. The word detonates in my mind like a bomb. Dante had mentioned Russians trying to move into his territory. Had said they'd use me as leverage. Get her to the car, Dante orders, but Sophia shakes her head. They're coming from both access roads. We're boxed in. For the first time since I've known him, I see something like fear flash across Dante's face. Not for himself, for me. Then we hold position. His voice is steel. Marco, Luca, perimeter defense. Sophia, upstairs windows. I'll take the front. He finally looks at me. Elena, basement. Now. No. The word comes out before I can think about it. Everyone freezes. Elena, Dante starts. No. I repeat, stronger this time. I'm not hiding in a basement while people die protecting me. I'm not my father's daughter for nothing. Something changes in Dante's eyes. Respect, maybe. Or recognition. Can you shoot? He asks. I think of a summer I was 16, when my mother took me to a gun range, insisted I learn despite my protests. Just in case, she said. Just in case they find us. Yes. He moves to a cabinet, pulls out a handgun, checks it with practiced efficiency. 9mm. 15 rounds. Safety here. Aim center mass. Don't hesitate. He presses it into my hands. Stay behind me. If I go down, you run for the woods. Don't look back. Dante! Promise me. His hands frame my face, fierce and desperate. Promise me you'll run. Only if you promise me the same thing. I counter, surprising us both. A ghost of a smile touches his lips. Deal. The sound of engines grows louder. Multiple vehicles, just as Sophia said, pulling up the long gravel drive with no attempt at stealth. They know we're trapped. They're not worried about surprise. Dante positions me behind the heavy oak dining table, which he's flipped on its side as a barricade. Stay low. Don't fire unless you have a clear shot. Conserve ammunition. Then he's moving, taking position by the front window, Sophia already upstairs, the 2 guards flanking the house. Professional, coordinated, deadly. The vehicles stop. Doors slam. I count footsteps. 8, 10, maybe 12 men. My heart hammers against my ribs, so hard I think it might break through. Moretti! A voice calls out, heavily accented. Russian, definitely. Send out the girl. Nobody else has to die today. Come and take her. Dante calls back, his voice carrying absolute certainty. See how that works out for you. A pause. Then, you're outnumbered, outgunned. Be smart. I am being smart. Dante's voice drops lower, more dangerous. I'm protecting what's mine. Something you clearly don't understand, or you wouldn't have come here. Last chance, Moretti. There are no last chances. Dante shifts his weight, gun steady. There's just you, making the worst decision of your life. The first shot shatters the window beside Dante's head. He returns fire instantly, and then everything dissolves into chaos. Gunfire explodes from all directions. Glass shatters. With splinters. I press myself against the floor behind the table, my own weapon clutched in shaking hands. Adrenaline floods my system, making everything hyper-real. The smell of gunpowder, the taste of fear, the sound of Sophia's weapon barking from upstairs. A man appears in the doorway, weapon raised. Dante fires twice, center mass, and the man drops. Another comes through the kitchen entrance. I don't think, just act, raising my weapon, squeezing the trigger like my mother taught me. The recoil jars my arms, but the shot finds its target. The man staggers, and Dante finishes him with a single shot. Good girl, Dante says, his voice steady despite the hell erupting around us. Stay focused. Time becomes elastic. Seconds feel like hours. The Russians keep coming, but Dante and his people are better trained, better positioned. Bodies pile up. Blood stains the hardwood floors. I'm firing my 4th shot when I see him. A man circling around through the kitchen. Weapon aimed not at Dante, but at his exposed back while he's focused on the front entrance. Dante! I scream and fire. My shot goes wide, but it's enough to make the Russian flinch, to alert Dante to the threat. He spins, fires twice, and the man goes down. But in that split second of distraction, another Russian enters from the front, weapon aimed at Dante's head. I don't hesitate. Don't think. My body moves on instinct, muscle memory, whatever made me write Alessandro on a coffee cup. I fire, once, twice, 3 times. The Russian's weapon discharges harmlessly into the ceiling as he falls. And then, as suddenly as it started, it's over. Silence descends, broken only by heavy breathing and the ringing in my ears. Dante moves through the house, checking bodies, securing the perimeter. Sophia comes downstairs, a cut on her forehead but otherwise unharmed. The 2 guards emerge from outside, reporting in low voices. All hostiles down, Sophia confirms. 2 wounded in custody. The rest are dead. Dante finally turns to me. His jacket is torn, blood on his sleeve. His or someone else's, I can't tell. But his eyes, when they find mine, are alive with something fierce and primal. You saved my life, he says, moving toward me. You saved mine first. My voice shakes, adrenaline crash hitting hard. Seems fair. He reaches me, his hands cupping my face, tilting it up to his. You didn't run. I told you to run if I went down, and you didn't. Neither did you, I point out, and then I'm crying, the weight of what just happened, finally crashing down. I killed someone. I killed. You protected yourself. Protected me. Protected us. His forehead presses against mine. You're stronger than you know, Elena. Braver than you believe. Your father would be proud. The words break me completely. I sob against his chest while he holds me, one hand in my hair, the other around my waist, anchoring me to reality while the world spins. I can't go back, I hear myself saying between sobs. I can't go back to who I was before. To pretending. I know. His lips brush my temple. I know, Piccola Elena. I don't want to. The admission comes from somewhere deep inside, someplace I've been afraid to look. I don't want to go back to being alone, to hiding, to being afraid all the time. He pulls back just enough to look at me, his eyes searching mine. What do you want? I meet his gaze, seeing past the danger, past the violence, to the man underneath, the boy who let me follow him through gardens, the man who's carried guilt for 15 years, the person who kneels before me and asks instead of demands. I want to stay, I whisper. With you. In your world. Wherever that leads. 6 months later, I stand in a different kitchen, still my own, but so different from the cramped space above my Brooklyn bakery that it feels like another life entirely. The penthouse kitchen gleams with professional-grade equipment, granite countertops, and enough space to work without bumping into walls. Through the windows, Central Park spreads out in summer green, families walking below, children playing, normal people living normal lives. I'm not normal anymore. I'll never be normal again. But I'm not alone. Something smells good. Dante's voice comes from behind me, followed by his arms wrapping around my waist, his chin resting on my shoulder. What are you making? Cornetti. I lean back against him, comfortable in a way that would have terrified me 6 months ago. Your mother's recipe. Teresa finally trusted me with it. His laugh rumbles through his chest into my back. She made you work for that. 3 months of lessons before she'd share the family secrets. Worth it. I turn in his arms to face him. He's dressed for business. Dark suit, white shirt, the uniform of power. But his eyes, when they look at me, are soft. You have meetings today. 2. Should be done by 4. His hand comes up to tuck a strand of hair behind my ear, the gesture so familiar now that I barely notice it. Then we have dinner with the Leonettis. Unless you'd rather cancel. I consider. The Leonettis are old family friends, which means former rivals, which means a dinner full of subtle power plays and careful conversation. 6 months ago, the thought would have paralyzed me with anxiety. Now I just shrug. I like Maria Leonetti. She's teaching me to play poker. Dante's eyes dance with amusement. Is she winning? Not anymore. I grin. Turns out I have a good poker face when I need it. I'm aware. His expression turns serious. You've adapted to this world faster than I ever expected. Sometimes I wonder if you're actually Marco Rossi's daughter after all. The mention of my father no longer brings immediate pain. Instead, there's warmth, pride, understanding. I had good teachers. I touch his face, feeling the stubble he hasn't shaved yet. And good protection. Always. He catches my hand, presses a kiss to my palm. I have something for you. He pulls a small box from his pocket, velvet, clearly expensive, the kind of box that makes my heart skip, even though I've learned not to be impressed by luxury. Inside is a ring. Not huge, not ostentatious, but perfect. A single diamond surrounded by smaller stones in an antique setting that speaks of history and meaning. My grandmother's, Dante says quietly. She wore it for 60 years. Refused to take it off, even in the end. His eyes meet mine. I want you to have it. Want you to wear it. I stare at the ring, understanding what he's asking. What he's offering. Not just jewelry, but permanence. Commitment. A future that's more than just protection and obligation. Dante. I start, then stop, unsure how to put into words everything I'm feeling. You don't have to answer now, he says quickly. I know it's fast. I know we've only been together 6 months. But I also know that I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you. That you make me want to be better than what I am. That when I think about my future, you're in every version of it. I look up at him, this dangerous man who's shown me gentleness, this powerful man who's given me choice, this killer who's protected me with his life. Yes, I say simply. His eyes widen. Yes. Yes, I'll marry you. Yes, I'll wear your grandmother's ring. Yes to all of it. I smile through sudden tears. But on one condition. Anything. The bakery. Sweet Haven. I want to expand it. Turn it into something bigger. A training program for women like me. Women who need a fresh start, a second chance, a way out of bad situations. I hold his gaze. I want to use your resources, your power, to help people. To turn something good out of all this darkness. Something like I'll cross his face. You want to use my family's money to help people escape my family's world. Is that a problem? He laughs, the sound full and genuine. It's perfect. You're perfect. He slides the ring onto my finger. It fits as if made for me. Marco would be proud. Not just of your courage, but of your heart. I hope so. I look at the ring, feeling the weight of it, the promise. I hope he can see that his sacrifice wasn't wasted. That his daughter found her way home. Dante pulls me close, his lips finding mine in a kiss that tastes like promise and future and hard-won happiness. When we break apart, he keeps me in his arms, swaying slightly as if to music only he can hear. No regrets, he asks softly. I think about the bakery in Brooklyn, now run by a woman I trained who needed the job as badly as I once did. I think about the cramped apartment, the loneliness, the constant fear. I think about the last 6 months, learning to navigate parties full of dangerous men, to read the undercurrents of power, to stand beside Dante as an equal rather than a protected child. I think about waking up next to him every morning, his face the first thing I see. About falling asleep in his arms every night, feeling safe in a way I haven't since my father died. About building something new from the ruins of my old life, something stronger, something real. No regrets, I confirm. Only gratitude that you walked into my bakery that day, that I wrote the wrong name on a cup, that some part of me remembered Alessandro even when I'd forgotten everything else. Not the wrong name, he corrects gently. The right name. The one that brought you back to me. His arms tighten around me. The one that brought you home. Home. The word settles into my chest, warm and true. Not Brooklyn. Not the bakery. Not any physical place. Home is here, in the arms of a man who saw me covered in flour and recognized his past. Who looked at a frightened woman and saw Marco Rossi's daughter. Who gave me protection and found love instead. Home is choosing danger over safety, passion over comfort, truth over the comfortable lies I've been living. Home is Alessandro, who became Dante, who became mine. The timer on the oven beeps, pulling us back to reality. I move to check the cornetti, which are golden and perfect, just like Teresa taught me. Dante leans against the counter, watching me work with that soft expression he reserves for private moments, when the mask of power slips and I see the man underneath. Do you ever miss it? He asks. The simple life? Just you and the bakery and no complications. I consider the question honestly as I plate the pastries. Sometimes, I admit, when the politics get exhausting or the danger feels too close. But then I remember what that simplicity cost me. The loneliness, the fear, the feeling that I was living half a life, always looking over my shoulder, never able to just be. I carry the plate to him, set it on the counter between us. This is complicated. It's dangerous. It's nothing like what I imagine my life would be. But it's real, Dante. It's mine. We're mine. And that's worth all the complications in the world. He takes a cornetto, bites into it, closes his eyes in appreciation. When he opens them again, they're bright with emotion. My mother would have loved you. The way you command the kitchen, The way you're not afraid to call me out when I'm being an ass. The way you've turned my world upside down in the best possible way. Tell me about her, I request, settling onto a stool across from him. I want to know the women who wore this ring before me. And he does. He tells me about his mother, about his grandmother, about the strong women who shaped the man he became. He tells me about family dinners and old traditions, and the parts of his world that aren't about power or danger but about connection and love. I listen, and I understand that this is what my father died protecting. Not just Dante's father, not just Alessandro the boy, but this. Family. Legacy. The good that exists even in a world full of darkness. Later, after Dante leaves for his meetings and I'm alone in the kitchen again, I look down at the ring on my finger. I think about 7-year-old Elena, running through gardens, chasing a boy she barely knew. I think about 27-year-old Elena, covered in flour, exhausted and alone, writing a name she'd forgotten she knew. I think about who I was, who I am now, who I'm becoming. And I smile, because for the first time in 15 years, I'm not running from my past or hiding from my future. I'm standing in it, claiming it, building it with my own 2 hands. Just like my father would have wanted. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you love the story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.